Welcome to Planting Joy Garden. The fall garden is looking great. So let's take a look at how the peppers are doing. So, as you know, peppers are a warm season crop. These peppers are still hanging in there. I actually let my peppers stand until the frost take them out. And part of what happens as the weather change, um, it tells the plant that it's under stress and it quickly tries to flower, produce fruit and seeds. So these are my banana peppers. I'm going to take these off. They could get a little more yellow, but I'm going to take them off because it's just so many on this plant, and there are lots of peppers still to come. There are some that is trying to grow in. So to not overly stress the plant, I'm going to take some of these larger peppers off. So follow along as we do some pepper picking. Also, even with the shishitos, there's a lot of really small ones, and I am knocking off blossoms. So I'm going to take the bigger shishitos off. They need to be at least 3 inches long, but there are so many very small ones here. So I'm going to take the bigger ones off so that the smaller ones have an opportunity to grow. And this is lighting, it's not actually damaged. It's just a gloss. 3 inches is all you need on a shishito pepper. And my Marconi pepper is also pushing out a lot of fruit right now. As you can see, really pushing out fruit. And this is meant to grow larger fruit. So I'm just gonna leave this here to mature on the plant. Uh, Even from the back side of the plant, you can see that there's quite a bit of Marconi peppers, but this is meant to be a giant Marconi. So I'm going to let these grow a little while longer. But these peppers are really going through it. They have very hot days with intense sun and very cool nights. So they're stressed. They still look good. The color is great. Um, there's been no insect pressure. But this is rough on a pepper. So let's get started. Peppers are so expensive at the grocery store, and I use it quite a bit. It's one of the things I like to use fresh to season soups and stews. Um, so it's an enormous value to grow my own. And I don't make pepper powder. Um, I actually freeze them and chop them up later. So I actually could have left these on a little longer to get more of a yellow color. Banana peppers will turn orange if they're left on the plant, but I want the plant to just go ahead and continue to fruit with as little stress as possible. It's putting on the maximum amount of fruit at this time, and I don't want it to actually rot. Like this one's a little early because it still has its flower attached. Okay. But there are more that are very small and haven't quite colored up yet. So we'll let those stay. I'm gonna grab this little shishito here. So here's the shishito. Just barely 3 inches, but I'm gonna take it. before. I am continuing to fill my dry herb jars. Let's see, I'm going to prune this back a little bit. How far down can I go on here? Like this. I'm just trying to get all my containers filled. So I'm going to take a little of this basil, and this fresh basil, even dry basil, is very expensive. I'm also going to take some sage to make sure that I have dried sage available for Thanksgiving. Around Thanksgiving, when you go in looking for sage, you just cannot find it. Last time I did my harvest of herbs, I neglected to bring in some sage. So we're going to just talk about that real quickly. As you can see with the sage plant, it has all of these little tiny leaves coming in under the big leaves. So sage wants to be pruned. So when you prune the sage, I pruned here. You never want to take more than a third, and you can see all these little leaves are just waiting to come in and grow. So I don't take a lot of the stems. I actually prefer to grab the leaves off the sage plant. Now, sage is supposed to be evergreen. It's extremely hardy, but I get extremely cold winters. So I find that my sage will get extremely woody. So I hope you can see what I'm actually doing here. Bring you a little closer. There you go. So there's several ways you can harvest sage. You can just simply take the top off and it will grow from the bottom up. Or you can take these outer leaves, as I'm doing here, and these little leaves will grow into full maturity. That's actually the preferred way. And when you take the leaves like this, they are so much easier to dry. So I want to start collecting my sage now, so I have the sage that I need, and for enough sage for those who will ask me for Thanksgiving. Everyone is running around looking for sage. Hard to find it. So I'm actually using two methods. I left the top here and I pruned out some leaves. Or you can simply just cut the head off and allow these to grow out. When you cut the head off, you'll get more bushing. So either way, I cut it both ways just so that you can see there really is no wrong way to prune and harvest sage. So I want to make sure I get enough leaves here to start drying my sage. Now this video is about pepper picking, but there's so much out here that it would just be neglectful not to harvest all that I can. So we're gonna grab some oregano. Now I'm really careful to leave the flowers. The bees and the butterflies, the weather's changing so much, they are hungry and they're looking for something. It is early morning and I often forget to harvest my oregano because it's usually covered with bees. So I am going to harvest some today so that I can dry it. But I have to be careful to leave some flowers for them. I generally will not take more than a third. And I like to kind of shape my oregano so it'll have a nice form and structure for the next growing season after the winter, spring rolls around. But you have to leave something. The bees are still working. They need food. And they have worked really hard for me this summer. I need the bees to continue to, to pollinate my peppers. So I'm just going to really be selective on my harvest. It's still quite cool this morning. You see I have on a sweater. So the bees have not come out yet. So we're gonna just collect what we can before it gets warm enough for the bees, and they head straight for this oregano. And this is an Italian oregano. Okay. And here's the oregano. And I still enjoy the taste, even if it has gone to flower. Please let your oregano go to flower for the bees that are hanging around. And they will hang around until frost, and then they'll just drop. Okay, so that's a nice amount to get started with the drying process. And even cherry tomatoes. I've had daily bowls of cherry tomatoes. I am at this point freezing them. I will pull them out during the winter. I'll be adding them to my soups, my stews, and my sauces. I have not had to buy cherry tomatoes, and I have cherry tomatoes frozen for the winter. I just want to take a moment to talk about the value of having a kitchen garden. So if you actually priced out how much it costs to have fresh peppers, price per pound. If you went to the grocery store and bought a fresh pack of sage or even dried jars of sage, consider the cost of a fresh pack of oregano, Italian oregano, or a fresh pack of basil. So I'm actually going to put on the screen the cost per pound. And this is just today. Imagine the value that's in a garden. Endless oregano, bunching onions, the sage you need, the peppers you need, having your own lettuce, having your own leafy green vegetables at your disposal. Think of the cost savings. So for me, my goal this growing season was to grow enough leafy green vegetables so that I would not have to buy them in the store. And so this is what I picked today for dinner. Plenty. And I can pick this every single day because I have a kitchen garden. I wanted to be able to never step into a grocery store for fresh herbs, including onions, to never have to buy peppers, and to never have to buy leafy green vegetables. Think of what your grocery bill could look like if you could grow at least one or two of your staples. So for me, those staples are my herbs and my leafy green vegetable. These are the things that will keep me in the store because these are the things I eat all the time. And these are the things I can do so much with. So start a kitchen garden.